Oregon just handed Colorado their first loss, and it wasn't even close. In this video, we're going to look at the mindset behind how they did it. My name is Bryce Wilson, and I'm a mental performance coach who teaches athletes how to develop a winner's mindset. To break this down, I watched every interview of every Oregon and Colorado player and coach, and here's what I found.
The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference.
The coach is doing a great job of unifying them against an enemy. He's reminding them that they're Oregon, a football powerhouse, and they're playing against Colorado, a team that's been the most hyped out of any team in college football. He's uniting the team by giving them a reason of why they want to beat Colorado. Of course, you always want to beat the person you're competing against, but this puts everyone on the same page to give their absolute best to beat Colorado as badly as they could. He's also giving the team a purpose. That hype doesn't win games, great teams do. This is a chance for them to show the world that Oregon is a real deal, and that teams with substance always beat teams that are just hype.
We're certainly not satisfied, right? This is one game, now we're on to the next one.
This is how you know they're going to win a lot more games. No matter what Oregon does the rest of the season, or even if Colorado wins the rest of their games in the season, Oregon will always be known as a team that ended Colorado's hype train. And for many coaches and players, this would be enough to make them comfortable. But apparently they're not satisfied with this. Even though they won the game 42-6, they're going to find some ways to fix certain things. They're going to figure out what they could have done better on offense to score even more points, and what they could have done better on defense to not let Colorado score at all. Even though this was just about as dominating a performance as you can get, they still want to figure out ways they can improve and better themselves for the next game.
They did a good job today. They upheld the standard.
Great teams hold themselves to a higher standard than losing teams. The Colorado team last year that was 1-11 didn't expect to win, and that's why Sanders had to let go a lot of the coaching staff and players, because they had just accepted their losing record. Meanwhile, Oregon expects to win and dominate. They hold themselves to a super high standard, and they are pushed to uphold that standard. Even if they don't reach it every time, they're going to play better than a team with no standard.
It's about how good we can become, right? It's not really about who we play. And it's about Oregon versus Oregon every week.
The best of the best believe they're the best. So in that case, there's no point in worrying about the other team or getting nervous about who you play next. Oregon believes they're the best. So the majority of time is spent honing their own ability, because if they maximize their own potential, they believe they can beat anyone.
We don't need to be the team that's reading the newspaper. We don't need to be the team that's following Twitter, because we didn't follow it this week. So we're certainly not going to look at it next week.
This one is very valuable. What he means by this is, in preparation for the game, they didn't look at the news or social media, because there was a lot of hype and distractions around the game, and it was likely a public sentiment that they wanted Oregon to lose so that Colorado could keep their Cinderella story going. So to avoid that messing with their head, they didn't check any of the news. But now that they won, there's a ton of social media and news now hyping Oregon up, talking about how great they are that they destroyed Colorado. But if they didn't check the news when it was against them, they don't want to check the news when it's for them, because while consuming bad news might lower your confidence, consuming great news could push your confidence into arrogance. So it's about not being too high or too low. You have to stay humble and remain level-headed. Here's what Colorado had to say.
It's a good old-fashioned butt kicking, no excuses.
Right off the bat, he admits defeat and makes no excuses. This is a prime example of a winner's mindset even during a loss. Now you might ask, how is that possible? How can you have a winner's mindset when you lost? And this is how. He didn't make excuses or blame or complain. When you do that, you don't get better. Instead, he's going to figure out what they did wrong and try to figure out how to fix it. And I bet Colorado is going to have one of their toughest weeks of practice so far. But because of that, in the next game, no matter the outcome, they'll have improved to some degree.
Their coaches did a heck of a job preparing their team. Obviously, we didn't.
As always, he gives respect to the other team, which is another way of gaining something from the game. Because if you respect someone, you can learn from them. And he'll probably take something from how Oregon operates in their games moving forward.
We lost offensively, defensively, as well as special teams.
Then he was brutally honest in his evaluation. A lot of athletes will admit defeat, but they'll just say they played bad and leave it at that. They won't get specific about what they did wrong and what they could have improved. Dion was honest that they lost in every facet of the game, and he'll likely look back at film to figure out specific cases and examples of what they did wrong.
People around the country would say this is what they needed to humble themselves. It's not something that was needed. It's just like saying you get in a car wreck or something. Oh, he needed that to slow him down. You don't need that. It's just something that happened, and they got the best of us today. That's just it.
Of course, everyone after the game will say that this is what Colorado needed to humble them. But you can be confident and humble at the same time. Confidence is trust in your own abilities, and humility is the belief that there's always something to learn and improve. So you can be both at the same time. Now, confidence and arrogance is confidence without humility. And it's also when you're a bit more vocal about how great you are, which Dion may do a fair amount, but he's a businessman. Colorado wouldn't have nearly as much hype if he didn't talk as much as he did.
You don't always have to get your butt kicked to learn. You can win and learn.
There's a common quote that you learn more from your losses. And that's true to some degree, because you have more motivation to go back and figure out what you did wrong. While during wins, you're more likely to look at your highlights. But true winners can win games and still evaluate their games as if they were losses and continue getting better. And that's why the Tom Brady's and Michael Jordans of the world are GOATs. They won a lot, but they still find a way to get better after each game.
We ain't got time to have no pity party. There's nobody walking around the locker room with napkins and tissues. Get your butt up. Let's get on that plane. Let's go.
This is also what separates winners from losers. When you lose, it's fine to get upset in the moment and right after it happens. But soon you need to put your feelings behind you and focus on moving forward. Losers stay fixated on the loss, while winners learn from the loss and move on. Shadir got sacked 7 times, and this is what he said.
I'll say that it's just, I was holding it too long.
This is another example of how you can maintain a winner's mindset even when you lose. He didn't make excuses or blame anyone. He took responsibility for all his sacks. And by doing that, now he can learn from this game and be better next game.
Really, I just gotta be perfect off rip. That's it.
This is a dangerous place to be in because perfectionism can be detrimental to your confidence because nothing will ever be good enough. But it is good to demand excellence. You just have to have a balance between demanding excellence and giving yourself grace by not beating yourself up too much and being able to pat yourself on the back every once in a while.
But I don't think one coach is gonna fire the players up more than the other because that fired up stuff go out the window after the first kick.
Motivation is temporary. It's great to go into a game motivated, but if you're not prepared, that motivation will wear off real quick. Oregon's win has nothing to do with motivation. Oregon was more prepared and they executed better, and it's simple as that. So that's why I think they won. Why do you think they won?